lay down, take a nap. How long as a dog does that process have to take before, as a dog, you are uncomfortable? Is it 20 seconds? Is it 50 seconds? I'm not sure. How long as a human watching this process does it take before you're uncomfortable? 20 seconds? 50 seconds? How long as a dog knowing that a human is watching you go through this process does it take before you are uncomfortable? Probably less time than it took without a human watching you, right? Hi folks, time for another episode of Art on It All. This week you'll be learning everything you need to know about basketball. Basketball is objectively the best sport. It's the only sport worth playing, partly because you don't need any other people to do so. I guess ping pong against the upright other half of the table is pretty fun by yourself, but really basketball is the best if you want to kill time alone, or for that matter just want to exercise or be active. It's definitely the only sport that's worth playing with friends or on a team. For some reason, I always feel like basketball was invented in Canada, but I think it was just a Canadian dude who invented it for American schools. And that's pretty much all you need to know about the history of this sport. Some teacher who is used to cold weather invented the game to keep kids active inside during the winter. He literally nailed a wooden fruit basket to a wall and told them to throw this ball into that basket, which they did, but of course it's a basket, it's meant for keeping stuff inside it. So every time someone scored a basket, they had to climb a ladder to remove the ball and start over. Eventually they got smart and cut off the bottom of the basket, so the ball just falls through, and that's all one wrote. The game went from high school to colleges to professional sport, and really very little has changed in the 100 years since. I mean, okay, that's not totally true. Old basketball was kinda awful. I'm fairly sure they started out unable to dribble the ball, so it was just standing and passing until you're close enough to take a shot. They eventually switched the fruit basket for a metal rim and a rope net, which was cool. After 50 or 75 years, they added a distance beyond which shots are worth one extra point, so 3 points instead of 2. But that's really about it for real this time. You don't really need to know anything about professional basketball until sometime in the 70s. Before then, there are multiple leagues, and there just weren't many players who were any good at the game. The best athletes all went into football, and everybody else defaulted to baseball. And then in the mid-1970s, the National and American Basketball Associations merged into one league, the NBA, and suddenly there was a national professional league that mattered, and everybody over 6'2" decided that's the sport to play. It didn't really take off as a thing you should know about for another 10 years or so, when the only basketball player who has ever really mattered finally came into the league. Obviously, this is a bit of an exaggeration. Like baseball, there are probably about 10 players you should actually know about. The first, of course, is that only player to ever really matter, Michael Jordan. This dude was very important to the game of basketball, and for a bunch of other reasons. I don't think you can overstate how cool and famous and good at this game old Mike was in the late 80s and 90s. Before Mike, there was a doctor named Jay, Wilt Chamberlain, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, and Larry Bird are all worth knowing about. After Michael Jordan is when stuff starts to get interesting. 90% of good basketball players have played in the last 30 years. Only a few you need to know about though. Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Kobe Bryant, and Allen Iverson are right behind Michael Jordan in making this thing cool and worth paying attention to. LeBron James, obviously, he might be the most, oh no, that can't be a real human body, in the history of humanity. Steph Curry came along a decade or so ago and pretty much nullified the previous 100 years of the game by saying, oh yeah, remember how you made those long shots 50% more valuable than the others? What if I only shoot those, and I make more of them than anyone thought was possible? Everybody else will have to try to copy me, right? And they did, and now if you're watching this close enough to when I make it, half of the people who like basketball spend all their time complaining that everyone decided to play the game in this way. That makes a lot more sense. Basketball is the greatest sport on the planet. There are probably better ones on better planets, but on Earth, basketball is the best we could come up with. you don't want wings, you better not drink any Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings, so if you don't want wings, you better not drink any Red Bull. Red Bull gives you wings, so if you don't want wings, you better not drink any Red Bull.